The day is finally here. I'm getting to drive the new Proton X50 for the first time, and I was really curious to see how this vehicle drove because it has a 1.5 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. Now, by nature, 3-cylinder engines, when compared to a 4-cylinder inline engine, they tend to idle rough. They just have a rough feel to them. For example, the Toyota Race. At idle or even at very slow speeds, if you're not familiar with 3-cylinder engines, you may think to yourself that they have a bad engine mount. So I was interested to see how this 3-cylinder compares to that 3-cylinder. And to my surprise, it actually feels pretty refined. You are not able to feel any excessive vibrations to make you think to yourself, is this a 3-cylinder engine? The 3-cylinder distinct note is still there. If you listen to it, you can tell that this is a 3-cylinder engine. But feeling around, you don't feel the vibrations. Now, it's said that Geely and Volvo co-designed this engine, but it wasn't said to what extent Volvo had a hand in designing this engine. What I would say is that all the things they say they put in to help minimize the vibration seems to be working. Some of which, for example, counterweighted crankshafts, dual mass flywheel with centrifugal pendulum absorber dampers, single balance shaft, low noise timing belt, high stiffness oil pan, an asymmetric oil pump impeller, and an engine compartment and vibration dampering system. But all of that refinement is all well and good, but how does the 3-cylinder 1.5 turbo engine actually perform? Well, let's take it up, Chancellor, and see how it climbs the hill. Now the engine is just in the background doing its thing. Not too intrusive, not too noisy. The suspension is also on the balanced side. It's not too stiff, so you don't feel every single bump like you're in a sports car, but you also don't feel like you're in a sailboat swaying from left to right. I'm taking it up the hill here, and the X50 feels pretty composed. One thing, the steering wheel is pretty light. You don't really get that much driver feedback. And I'm guessing, had I changed it from Eco to normal or maybe sport, the steering wheel would have firmed up a bit and you'd have gotten a bit more of a sporty drive. But as it is right now in Eco, the steering wheel is pretty light. It's like you just turn it and it goes. But other than that, yeah, the vehicle is pretty composed because I'm going to be here, yeah, no issue. And again, mankind has been making cars for over, 100 years. So if you all can't get suspension right, just stop making cars. And clearly, Proton feels that way as well because they got the suspension right in this. Now, even though we went up Chancellor, Chancellor's a bit of a gradual incline. So I oftentimes like to find a hill on a hill just to see how the vehicle operates going up a hill that is slightly bad on top of a hill. So I found a nice little bumpy road going up there. And I asked the sales rep, can I take it up that hill? And she was like, yeah, sure. There was some consternation, but eventually she realized it was just a test. So we went up the hill, and this is what it looks like. Okay. I thought it was a longer hill, but somebody decided to build a house right there. You would have built a house anywhere, apparently. But we made it up the slight hill, very unpaved road, and as you can see, the vehicle wasn't shaking and bouncing too much. I had to do like a 65-point turn here because it's a pretty tight turn. And it was all good. You know, the sales ref's heart probably went up a few beats, but she understood that the 360 camera was in control of my view. I was able to see exactly what was taking place. Then she reminded me on the way down, there's hill descent. Now, I'm not really a hill descent fan because I'm never really off-roading, but I'll say, what the hell, let's try it and see. So the button was pushed and we are now in hill descent mode. Let's see how we go down the hill. You can actually feel it holding the brake. And the interesting thing about that is that you're coming down a hill. In this case, it was a slightly bumpy road. So at one point, the left wheel might be in a hole, the front right may not be. And you can actually feel the X50 braking individual wheels depending on which one is losing traction or not to keep the vehicle steady. If you listen closely, you can't hear it over the camera there. But in real, you can actually hear and feel that the vehicle is braking individual wheels. Here I'm testing the auto hold feature. You take your foot off the brake, whether going up a hill, down a hill, or in traffic, and the vehicle would stay stationary until you hit the accelerator pedal. I think all vehicles need to have this. This should be a standard feature by now. Now I know all the car guys are already bored like TD47, where is the 0 to 100 test? We want to see what this 3-cylinder 1.5 litre turbocharged engine can do. Do the acceleration test, so you know I must find a road to do it. Now, while that raspy generator sounding type 3-cylinder sound is common with 3-cylinder engines, you can't get around it. Every engine has a particular sound. The 5-cylinder have a particular sound, the V6, the V12. 3 cylinders have a particular sound, and this one has it. It isn't as bad as the Toyota Race, but you all just heard it there. It's livable. It doesn't sound like a 4-cylinder. It sounds different, but it's livable. But it does not feel underpowered. That turbo is doing what the turbo is supposed to do. As you can hear, it even wanted to spin the front wheels up, but traction control was like, hey, behave yourself. There shall be none of that wheel spinning thing taking place here. But the most surprising thing to me here that really made me believe that Volvo had a hand in this is the transmission. It has a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, wet, not dry, and it shifts so smooth that you literally do not feel the gear shifts. You know what I'm noticing here? The gear shifts are so smooth and I'm even feeling it. Because I'm in 4th now.
Yes.
I'm going to go to 5th. You feel anything? I feel anything?
You're not feeling a change in transmission curve.
Yeah, just... But then again, I think Volvo obviously is part of Proton.
So, the company that owns Volvo has shares in Proton.
And because of that, one night Proton went across by the Volvo factory and took one of their luxury transmissions and brought it over and put it in the X50. Because ain't no way. I'm telling you all, if you got a chance to drive this vehicle, play around with the Tiptronic. The gears are shifting and you do not feel the gear shifting. The RPM is moving. You can see it went from 4th to 5th to 6th. But you legit is the smoothest transmission. I've never driven a Volvo, so maybe it's the exact same thing. Those who drive Volvos maybe already say like, what are you talking about? It's a normal thing for Volvo. But most other vehicles that I drive, you actually feel a shift. In fact, the first time I realized how smooth this transmission really was when I started it for the first time. I was trying to back out of where it was parked. I put the vehicle in reverse. Now, for whatever reason, it doesn't go beep, beep, beep like most vehicles. But in any vehicle, you put a car in reverse, you feel the transmission shift from whatever to reverse. You feel a slight shake, a buck, whatever you want to call it. This one was so smooth. I had to like, is it in reverse? Did it go into reverse?
Yep. See it going.
Oh, already, okay, right. And I mean, come on, you can't fault me. Yes, most vehicles have an indicator on the dash somewhere saying you're in park, drive, neutral, reverse, whatever. But most times, you actually feel when you shift into a different gear. You feel the vehicle into drive, you feel it when you're going to reverse, you feel the strain come off the engine and transmission when you're going to neutral. This one is, you just don't know.
So shift to the left.
The left? Oh, okay.
Go forward to go up a gear, go back for a gear down.
You see all of you driving the new Hyundai Tucson, come and drive one of these and feel what a dual clutch transmission is supposed to feel like. When I did the review on the Hyundai Tucson, everybody told me, no, I don't know what I'm talking about. That delay is normal, that lag is normal, that dead spot on the pedal is normal. Come across here and feel what a dual clutch transmission is supposed to feel like. All in all, the X50 actually makes me excited to feel what the X90, which is the bigger version, the 7-seater Proton, is going to feel like, because it's a really nice vehicle to drive. Granted, the Proton badge doesn't really have the badge recognition and the cachet over here versus others, but I think if they stick with it, it will sell. Because I mean, at one point, people used to buy Kia and Hyundai, and now you all taking loans to buy them. So clearly, if a manufacturer really wants to penetrate a market, all they have to do is stick with it. But all in all, I actually like the X50. It is a nice vehicle, and it has like 4 exhausts at the rear, and it's not really exhaust tips, they actually go in. It's actually real exhaust at the rear here. Who would have thunk it in a Proton? Mercedes, all the fake exhaust steps. Take note. In fact, most of the car industry. But I must also say thanks to Kira, the sales rep who took me out on the test drive. Very knowledgeable. They trained her well. She studied whatever handbook they gave her. She studied it well. When I'm on a test drive, I oftentimes throw out random statements or questions just to see if the sales rep knows what they're talking about. And she answered all the questions, and she was very knowledgeable. For example, coming down the hill, she knew hill descent. Press the button. Simple thing, but most sales reps wouldn't do that. They just let her come down the hill and use the brakes. So big up you, Kira.